The massive screen in Earth Defense Force headquarters lit up with an unfamiliar signal. Admiral Du-hyun sat straight in his chair, his weathered hands gripping the armrests. After years of watching the stars, humanity's first contact was about to happen. Signal confirmed, Admiral. It's coming from just beyond lunar orbit, reported Officer Hae-jin, her fingers dancing across the control panel. The room fell silent as the screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, blue-skinned figure in ornate robes. People of Earth, the alien spoke in perfect English, making everyone in the room exchange worried glances. I am Ambassador Krall of the Galactic Imperial Council. We have been watching your civilization for some time. Do-hyun nodded slowly, maintaining his calm despite his racing heart. Welcome, Ambassador. I am Admiral Du-hyun of the Earth Defense Force. Before he could say more, Earth's diplomatic representative Han-ji stepped forward. She was a small woman with a gentle smile that masked years of diplomatic experience. We are honored by your contact, Ambassador, she said warmly. The alien's expression didn't change as he continued. The Imperial Council has decided to grant your world the privilege of joining our empire. Your surrender and integration will begin immediately. A few nervous laughs echoed through the control room. Han-ji's smile didn't waver, but her eyes hardened. Perhaps there has been a misunderstanding, Ambassador. Earth is not interested in surrendering to anyone. The alien's face twisted in confusion. This is not a request. The Empire spans 10,000 worlds. Resistance would be. He paused, searching for the right word. Inconvenient. Nevertheless, Han-ji replied, still smiling. We must decline. Earth is our home, and we prefer to manage our own affairs. Ambassador Krell's blue skin darkened with what looked like anger. No one has ever refused integration into the Empire. Your primitive civilization cannot hope to resist our might. Do-hyun stepped forward. Ambassador, surely we can discuss this like reasonable beings. War benefits no one. You mistake this for a negotiation, Krell snapped. Your species has been observed to be violent, chaotic, and unpredictable. The Council has determined you require guidance. Han-ji laughed softly, drawing surprised looks from both humans and alien alike. Ambassador, you just listed 3 reasons why starting a war with humans would be a terrible idea. You dare mock the Empire. Krell's voice rose sharply. Not at all, Han-ji replied. I'm trying to save lives, yours included. You say you've studied us. Did you learn about Earth's history, about our wars, our strategies, how we fight when backed into a corner? The alien's expression showed only contempt. Your primitive conflicts are nothing compared to the might of the Empire. Then you haven't studied enough, Du-hyun said quietly. Last chance, Ambassador. Let's talk peace. The Empire does not negotiate with primitives, Krall declared. You have 24 Earth hours to surrender or face the consequences. The Empire has never lost a war. Han-ji's smile finally faded. There's a first time for everything, Ambassador. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the room in tense silence. After a moment, someone let out a long breath. Well, Han-ji said, turning to Admiral Du-hyun, that could have gone better. Do-hyun was already reaching for his communication panel. Alert all Earth defense stations. Contact every major military power. As of this moment, we are at war. He paused, then added with a grim smile, and may the Empire learn why picking a fight with humans is a very, very bad idea. Around the room, despite the gravity of the situation, people were smiling. The Empire thought humans would be easy prey. They were about to learn a hard lesson about underestimating Earth. The clock was ticking. 24 hours to prepare for war with the galaxy's biggest empire. But oddly enough, no one in the room seemed worried. After all, humanity had been preparing for this moment for centuries. They just didn't know it yet. General Krell paced in front of the massive holographic display showing Earth's military forces as the Empire's top military commander. He had overseen dozens of planetary conquests, but something about this one made him uneasy. Primitive projectile weapons, he muttered, looking at images of Earth's tanks and aircraft. Chemical explosives. Nuclear devices. How quaint. Commander Jaewon, one of the Empire's intelligence officers who had studied Earth for years, cleared his throat. Sir, I suggest we look at their combat history before. Their history. Krell laughed. They still fight on the ground with mechanical vehicles. They haven't even mastered gravity control. The command center buzzed with activity as analysts reviewed Earth's military capabilities. Screens showed Earth's various weapons, strategies, and defensive systems. To most Imperial officers, they seemed laughably outdated. Young tactical officer Sunmei stood quietly in the corner, watching the others dismiss humanity's potential. She had spent more time studying Earth's wars than anyone else, and what she saw terrified her. Sir, she finally spoke up, her voice firm despite her junior rank. Permission to share my analysis. Krell waved his hand dismissively. Speak quickly, Officer Sunmei. She stepped forward, pulling up images of various human conflicts. These primitives, as we call them, have fought more wars among themselves than any species we've encountered. They've mastered warfare in every environment, land, sea, air, and even their primitive attempts at space. That only proves their violent nature, another officer interrupted. They'll break easily under our superior technology. Sunmei shook her head. No, sir. Look at this. She displayed footage of human special forces training. They adapt instantly. They learn from every defeat. They turn their enemies' strengths against them. And most importantly, she paused, making sure she had their attention. They never fight the same way twice. The room fell silent for a moment. Krall studied the images with narrowed eyes. In all our conquests, Sunmei continued, we've relied on our standard invasion protocols. But humans, they're different. They study their enemies. They find weaknesses. They change tactics mid-battle. Our tactical ad won't be able to predict their movements because they're inherently unpredictable. Jaewon nodded slowly. She has a point. Look at this. He pulled up an image of a small human military unit. Their smallest combat units can operate independently if cut off from command. They call it initiative. Their soldiers are trained to think, not just follow orders. Krell's face darkened with anger. Are you suggesting our mighty empire should fear these primitives? Not fear, sir, Sunmei replied carefully. Respect. Their weapons might be primitive, but their minds. She pointed to footage of human guerrilla warfare tactics. Their minds are anything but. Enough. Krell slammed his fist on the console. I won't stand here and listen to praise for these savages. We will proceed with standard invasion protocols. Our ships will darken their skies. Our weapons will shatter their cities. They will learn to kneel before the Empire, just like all the others. Sunmei and Jaewon exchanged worried glances as the other officers nodded in agreement with their general. Prepare the first wave, Krell commanded. We'll show these humans what real power looks like. As the officers filed out, Sunmei stayed behind, staring at the images of Earth's armies. She noticed something the others had missed. In every victory, in every defeat, humans learned. They adapted. They survived. They're not seeing it, she whispered to herself. We're not fighting primitive weapons. We're fighting 4 billion years of evolution that created survivors. And we're about to learn why that's a terrible mistake. The Empire's mighty fleet began to move into position, their standardized battle plans ready. They were about to face an enemy that had spent its entire history preparing for this moment, even if they didn't know it. The Empire was about to learn that technology wasn't everything. Sometimes, the most dangerous weapon was the human mind. The Imperial ships appeared like dark clouds above Earth's major cities. Their massive hulls blocked out the sun, casting ominous shadows on the ground below. It was meant to frighten humans into submission. Instead, it made them angry. Colonel Tai Yun watched from his underground command center as the first Imperial dropships entered Earth's atmosphere. His face showed no fear, only fierce concentration. "They're following exactly the same pattern in every city," he reported to his global command network. "They're predictable. Use it against them." Major Yumhe's voice crackled over the comm from Seoul. "Sir, my space infantry is in position. The Empire doesn't even check their captured ships for stowaways. Their arrogance is amazing." Around the world, Earth's defenders waited. They had hidden their best weapons underground, in oceans, and in mountains. The Empire expected to find military bases and armies out in the open. They found empty cities instead. The first Imperial soldiers landed, their advanced armor gleaming in the sunlight. They marched in perfect formation, just as they had done on 1,000 other worlds. Their scanners showed no resistance, no army waiting to fight them. "This is too easy," one Imperial commander said. "Where are their armies?" He got his answer seconds later. The ground beneath their feet exploded. Not with simple bombs, but with specially designed weapons that Earth had prepared in secret. Electromagnetic pulses knocked out Imperial communications. Sonic weapons shattered their formation. Gravity suddenly increased in targeted areas, crushing their advanced armor like tin cans. "Impossible," the Imperial commander shouted as his forces fell into chaos. "They're primitives." From hidden bunkers, Tai Yung's forces emerged. They didn't fight like a normal army. Each unit operated independently, using different tactics. Some used old-fashioned bullets that the Imperial shields weren't designed to stop. Others used captured Imperial weapons turned against their makers. In orbit, Yumhe's team struck. They had quietly boarded Imperial ships during the chaos, using the Empire's own systems against them. Warships began firing on each other as humans hacked their targeting systems. "This isn't warfare," an Imperial officer screamed as his ship's weapons turned against his allies. "This is madness." "No," Yumhe replied through their own comm system. "This is human warfare. You should have studied harder." The Empire lost 40% of their first wave in just 6 hours. Their perfect formations broke. Their standard tactics failed. Every time they adapted, humans changed their strategy. In his command center, Tai Yun watched the Empire's mighty fleet fall into disarray. "Report from all sectors," he ordered. The responses came in from around the world. London sector clear. Beijing holding strong. New York pushing them back. Moscow never better. Seoul sending them running. Tai Yun allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to Admiral Do Hyun. Phase 1 complete. The Empire's first wave is broken." In orbit, Major Yun he watched from her captured Imperial ship as the mighty fleet retreated in disorder. "Should we pursue?" she asked. "Negative," Tai Yun replied. "Let them run. Let them tell their leaders what happened here. Let them know that Earth doesn't follow their rules of war." As the Imperial ships fled Earth's orbit, they left behind broken vessels, shattered pride, and a crucial lesson. Humans didn't fight fair. They didn't follow proper military doctrine. They used every trick, every tactic, and every advantage they could find. In the Imperial command ship, General Krell received the shocking reports. 40% losses, captured ships, broken formations, complete tactical failure. And in her quiet corner, Tactical Officer Sunmai whispered to herself, "I tried to warn them. Humans don't fight to look good. They fight to win." The first wave had failed, but everyone knew the Empire would be back. And next time, they would be angry. But humans were ready. After all, angry enemies make mistakes, and humans were very, very good at taking advantage of mistakes. Dr. Hyunwoo hadn't slept in 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered his lab, but his eyes sparkled with excitement as he studied the captured Imperial shield generator. Around him, pieces of alien technology lay scattered across workbenches. "Look at this," he called out to his team. "Their shields only block high-energy weapons. They never thought anyone would use simple bullets or sound waves. In the same facility, Captain Mayray prepared her strike force for humanity's first major counterattack. Her soldiers loaded their weapons, a strange mix of Earth guns and modified Imperial technology. "Remember your training," she told her troops. "The Empire expects us to copy their weapons exactly. Instead, we've made them better." She picked up a rifle that looked like a mix between an Earth assault rifle and an Imperial energy weapon. They won't know what hit them. The door opened, and Admiral Du-hyun walked in. Everyone stood at attention. "At ease," he said. "Dr. Hyunwoo, show me what you found." The scientist rushed over with a small device. "Their technology isn't really advanced. It's just different. They stopped innovating centuries ago. Every ship uses the exact same shields, the same weapons, the same everything. And that's their weakness," Mayray added with a grin. "They don't know how to handle anything new." Do-hyun nodded. "How soon can we launch?" "My teams are ready now," Mayray said. "We've modified 20 captured Imperial ships. They look normal from the outside, but inside," she smiled, "let's just say they're very Earth-friendly now." Across the solar system, the Empire regrouped its forces. They didn't notice as Mayray's modified ships slipped into their formation, pretending to be damaged vessels returning from the failed invasion. "Begin Operation Trojan," Mayray commanded once her ships were in position. The attack started from inside the Imperial fleet. Modified ships suddenly opened fire with weapons the Empire had never seen before. Bullets coated with energy fields slipped right through their shields. Sound-based weapons disrupted their ship controls. Earth-made computer viruses spread through their networks. "This is impossible," an Imperial commander shouted as his ship's systems failed. "They're primitives. How are they doing this?" The answer came from Dr. Hyunwoo's latest invention, a device that turned the Empire's own shield energy against them. Imperial ships found their shields collapsing, their weapons failing, and their communications filled with Earth rock music at full volume. "Their entire fleet is in chaos," Mayray reported to Earth Command. "They've never faced an enemy that could use their own technology against them. They don't know how to react." In the Imperial fleet, Sun Mai watched in amazement. "They didn't just copy our technology," she said to herself. "They made it better. They changed it. They improved it. We never even thought that was possible." The battle lasted only 6 hours. When it ended, the mighty Imperial fleet had retreated to the edge of the solar system, leaving behind more captured ships and broken pride. "Report," Admiral Du-hyun demanded. 30% of their fleet destroyed or captured," Mayray answered proudly. "Dr. Hyunwoo's inventions worked perfectly. The Empire's biggest weakness is their belief that their technology can't be improved." Dr. Hyunwoo looked up from a new piece of Imperial tech he was already taking apart. "Give me a few more days. I have some new ideas they'll hate even more." Do-hyun allowed himself a small smile. The Empire thought humans were primitive because they didn't have advanced technology. But they forgot something important. Humans didn't just use tools. They made them better. They changed them. They evolved. And now the Empire was learning a painful lesson. Never underestimate a species that went from stone tools to spaceflight in less than 10,000 years. Because that kind of rapid advancement meant one thing. Humans were really good at learning new ways to win. Jin Ho moved silently through the shadows of an Imperial-occupied colony on Mars. The Empire thought they had full control of the Red Planet. They were wrong, very wrong. "Status report," he whispered into his hidden communicator. "The virus is ready," Engineer Su Min's voice crackled back. She was hidden in a makeshift lab deep under the Martian surface. "Once we upload it to their network, every Imperial robot on Mars will start dancing instead of fighting." Jin Ho smiled. The Empire relied too much on their machines. They never expected their enemies to have a sense of humor. "How many colonists have joined the resistance?" "All of them," Su Min replied. Turns out nobody likes being told they have to bow to blue aliens who think they're better than everyone else. The resistance had spread faster than anyone expected, not just on Mars, but across every world the Empire had conquered. Other species watched in amazement as humans showed them new ways to fight back. Message from Earth. Another voice joined their channel. Dr. Hyun-woo's new tech is ready. They want us to test it here first. Jin-ho checked his watch. The Imperial Guards would change shifts in exactly 3 minutes. They always changed at the same time, following the same routes. They never learned. Begin Operation Party Crash, he ordered. Across the Martian colony, hidden speakers suddenly blasted Earth music. Rock, pop, and heavy metal all mixed together. Imperial Guards looked around in confusion. Their robots began moving strangely, their programming corrupted by Su-Min's virus. Are those robots breakdancing? Someone asked over the comm. Su-Min added some special moves. Jin-ho chuckled. She said if we're going to crash their system, we might as well make it fun to watch. The real attack began while the Empire's forces were distracted. Resistance fighters emerged from hidden tunnels. They didn't fight like soldiers. They fought like rebels, like guerrillas, like humans who'd spent centuries perfecting the art of asymmetric warfare. This is chaos, an Imperial commander shouted as his forces fell into confusion. Where are they coming from? Why are our robots dancing? Why is this primitive music so catchy? In her underground lab, Su-Min monitored the battle through hacked Imperial cameras. Their whole system is based on order and rules, she explained to her team. So we give them chaos. Humans are good at chaos. The news spread quickly through the Empire's territory. Humans weren't just fighting back on Earth. They were teaching other species how to resist. Imperial propaganda called it a plague of disorder. The conquered species called it hope. Message from the other colonies, Su-Min reported. They want our virus. They want our tactics. They want to learn how to fight like humans. Jin-ho watched from a rooftop as Imperial forces retreated from another failed attempt to regain control. Send them everything, he ordered. The Empire thought they could keep species separate, fighting alone. Instead, we're teaching them to work together. In her lab, Su-Min prepared to send their tactical data to other resistance groups. The Empire's biggest mistake, she said, was thinking that being primitive meant being stupid. They never understood that humans became advanced because we're good at learning, good at teaching, and really good at causing trouble. Reports reached the Imperial Council. Their perfect order was breaking down. Their conquered species were learning human tactics. Their robots were dancing. Their commanders were frustrated. And worst of all, their enemies were having fun while fighting back. The resistance spreads. Jin-ho reported to Earth Command. The Empire built their power on fear and control. We're teaching people something different. How to laugh while they fight. How to think for themselves. And how to win. On Mars and beyond, the Empire's greatest fear was coming true. They hadn't just picked a fight with humans. They'd shown all their conquered species that resistance was possible. And humans were very, very good teachers. General Krell stood on the bridge of the Empire's largest warship, his face dark with anger. Send in the elite forces, all of them, he shouted. I will not be defeated by primitives who think warfare is a game. The Empire's elite fleet emerged from hyperspace. 10,000 ships, their best warriors, their most advanced weapons. On Earth, Marshal Daejong watched them appear on his screens. Right on time, he said calmly. They're so predictable. Lieutenant Haijin, are your stealth squadrons ready? Ready and waiting. Haijin replied from her hidden base on the moon. Her ships were special. They looked like asteroids, but inside they held Earth's newest weapons. The Empire still hasn't figured out how we hide from their scanners. The Imperial elite forces moved into attack formation, the same formation they had used for 1,000 years. Krall smiled as he watched his perfect fleet prepare for battle. This time, he announced, we will show these humans what real power looks like. A voice crackled over his command channel. Someone had hacked their supposedly unhackable communications. "Actually," said Marshal Daejung, "we're going to show you what real warfare looks like." The attack began, but not from the front where the Empire expected it. Hai-Jin's stealth ships struck from behind, from above, from below, from everywhere at once. They didn't fight like proper warships. They fought like space pirates, like clever predators, like humans. Their ships looked like rocks. An Imperial commander cried out. "That's not fair." "Since when is war about being fair?" Hai-Jin laughed as her squadron struck again and again. They hit supply ships, fuel tankers, communication relays, all the targets the Empire thought were safely behind their battle lines. Meanwhile, Earth's main fleet engaged the Imperial forces head-on, but not in the way anyone expected. Each Earth ship fought differently. Some used modified Imperial weapons. Others used old Earth weapons that confused Imperial shields. Some just rammed into the enemy at full speed, their crews safely teleported out using stolen Imperial technology. This isn't proper space combat. Krell raged as another formation broke apart in confusion. They're supposed to fight in organized lines. They're supposed to follow the rules of war. "Humans don't believe in rules of war," Marshal Daejung replied through the hacked channel. "We believe in winning." The Empire's mighty fleet started to fall apart. Their perfect formations turned into chaos. Their elite warriors, trained to fight specific ways, didn't know how to handle enemies who kept changing tactics. "Report from all sectors," Hai-Jin called out. Her stealth ships had destroyed half the Empire's supply lines, while everyone was distracted by the main battle. "Western sector clear. Eastern sector secure. Northern sector, enemy in full retreat. Southern sector, they're running away." In his command ship, Krell watched in horror as his perfect fleet fell into disorder. "This is impossible. We are the elite. We are the best warriors in the galaxy." "No," Marshal Daejung replied. "You're just the most predictable." And in war, being predictable means losing. The battle lasted only 12 hours. When it ended, the Empire's elite forces were scattered across space. Their perfect formations were broken. Their supply lines were cut. Their best warriors were running away. "Should we chase them?" Hai-Jin asked, her stealth ships ready for more action. "No need," Daejung answered. "They've learned their lesson. The Empire thought that having the best technology and the most organized army meant they couldn't lose. Instead, they learned that wars aren't won by who has the best toys. They're won by who thinks better, adapts faster, and fights smarter." And across the galaxy, the Empire's reputation for invincibility shattered like glass. They had sent their best forces against Earth. Their best forces had lost. And now everyone knew. The Empire wasn't invincible after all. They were just predictable. The Imperial Council chamber was silent. For the first time in its 1,000-year history, representatives from Earth stood before them, not as conquered subjects, but as equals. Admiral Do-hyun led the human delegation, his calm expression hiding the subtle smile. "You want peace?" the head counselor asked in disbelief. "After all this fighting, you want peace?" "We always wanted peace," Do-hyun replied. "You're the ones who wanted war. How did that work out for you?" Sun Lai, now promoted to Imperial Advisor after her warnings had proven correct, stood to the side watching. She had seen everything she predicted come true. Humans had turned chaos into victory, unpredictability into strength. "Your terms," the council asked, trying to maintain their dignity. Han-ji stepped forward, the same diplomatic representative who had first refused their demands for surrender. She was still smiling, but now everyone knew that human smiles could hide steel. "Simple terms," she said. "First, Earth and all human colonies remain independent. Second, fair trade rights with all imperial worlds. Third, you stop telling everyone you're superior to them. It's annoying." "You can't dictate terms to us," one counselor shouted. We are the Empire. Would you like us to demonstrate our new weapons again? Du Hyun asked politely. The ones that made your elite forces run away. Or perhaps you'd like to see more of Engineer Sumin's dancing robots. The council chamber fell silent again. On screens around the room, reports showed the Empire's current situation. Broken fleets, failing control systems, colonies in revolt, and worst of all, other species learning to fight like humans. The Empire has never lost a war, the head counselor said weakly. The Empire had never met humans, Hanji corrected. Now you have. Time to adapt. As the council debated, Sunmai approached Du Hyun quietly. You knew this would happen, didn't you? From the very beginning. Du Hyun shrugged. We didn't know. We just did what humans always do. We adapted. We learned. We improved. The Empire thought being advanced meant stopping change. Humans know that being advanced means never stopping change. The council finally reached their decision. They had no choice. The Empire's reputation was shattered. Their fleets were broken, and their conquered species were learning human tactics. It was accept peace or face chaos spreading across the galaxy. We accept your terms, the head counselor announced. Wonderful, Hanji said brightly. Now about those trade agreements, we have some interesting improvements for your technology you might want to buy. Dr. Hyunwoo has been very creative. Later, as the human delegation prepared to leave, Sunmi stopped them. I have to know, she said. How did you do it? How did primitives defeat the greatest empire in the galaxy? Do Hyun looked at her kindly. We didn't defeat you because we were primitive. We defeated you because we never stopped learning, never stopped improving, never stopped thinking of new ways to solve problems. The Empire thought being powerful meant staying the same. Humans know that real power means always being ready to change. As their ship departed, Hanji looked back at the imperial capital. Do you think they learned their lesson? If they didn't, Du Hyun replied, we'll be happy to teach them again. Back in the council chamber, Sunmai stood at a window, watching Earth's ship disappear into the stars. She smiled as she remembered her first warning about humans, that they were unpredictable, adaptable, and impossible to control. Next time, she whispered to herself, maybe the Empire will listen when someone warns them about picking fights with species who turn chaos into victory. And across the galaxy, a new saying spread among the stars. Want to win a war? Fight like humans. The Empire had learned its lesson. Earth had won its freedom. And the galaxy would never be the same. Because humans had shown everyone something important. Sometimes the best way to fight an empire was to break all their rules and have fun doing it.